Hey everybody. So today we're talking about resonance, and this is one of my favorite subjects. When we say, what is resonance? I'm asking that more as something that we can discover together, not for me to give you the answer, but we're going to look at it from a few different angles and see if you will have a better idea about your own resonance and about your own choices when you sing. So get comfy where you are, because before we get started, let's just let's today's focus is, I want it to be an external focus. So we often, when we're working on singing, we get really internal, don't we? We get really hung up on the nooks and crannies of our voices and going internal, the vocal cord. It gets very technical so quick. And talking about resonance, that also gets technical, but I want to keep the focus out. So that's one way that you, as a singer, can really help yourself not be overly internally focused, which kind of makes for a wooden performance, when you're in. And of course, we have to think about it in practice. But today, I want you to practice that focusing outward. And resonance is a great subject to do that on, because we're getting those vibrations and we're getting everything lined up with harmonics. Now, more on that as we get into the session. But first of all, to get yourself focused outward, I want you to just think about your environment. Let's do a little sort of awareness exercise. And I want you to feel yourself all of a sudden just be aware of where you are in your space, in your room, in your own consciousness, and feel the air. So let's start off with the temperature. How do you feel? Can you feel the air on your skin? Is it blowing through your skin, making your hairs on your arms raise? Or is it on top of you? Is it humid where you are? It's sitting on top of you, heavy. Now imagine if that air was not even oxygen. Imagine if it had a different viscosity. Imagine if it was thick. Imagine if we were living in like a jelly substance. How would that affect our whole lives? So I want you to just imagine now, if you were standing, if instead of oxygen we had jelly as our air. So I want you to imagine that now, how different that would be. Even with your breathing, how would that feel? Would it feel very, very heavy? You'd have to push your air out and really engage to suck in. Now, I want you to also think about how we are also different. So everyone watching this around the world from lots of different places, I love that I've got such an international community. That's exactly what I want. It's so perfect. And I want you to think, though, now take a moment and reflect on how different we all are. Imagine someone watching this from Brazil, how their house might be different from someone watching this in Sweden, or someone watching this in the UK, or here in Australia. Imagine how now that you are focused on everything through your own eyes. So I want you to look around the room, see everything, notice and have that awareness that you are, in your own experience, you have built up this experience through your culture, through your mom and dad or your main carer, through your surrounds, through nature as well, through your DNA, but mainly through your surrounds, really, if you think about it, how we're so impressionable and how that experience is different for everyone else. So we're all having our experience in our own eyes. Now let's have a look at pushing our voice out, putting it out there and focusing on external factors as opposed to focusing internal. And let's start with just a little bit of a rhythm, and we're going to go around some soft consonants and really push the voice out. So we'll go sh 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 zh, 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 pressing your voice out. Noticing how they feel different depending on the sound. Z, 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 sh, 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 pushing that against the wall. Now all in one. Let's do that again and pick a note that might be different from mine in your own voice. You might be a little bit higher. Notice how S is not voiced, but Z is. Shh and zh. All right, great. So resonance. Resonance can be thought of, resonance can be determined by size and shape. So let's yawn. Do that again, really stretch it out. You think of a yawn as low, but actually it can be high too, right? I felt my eyes getting the pressure there of me opening my vocal tract. Now, let's squash that space right down. Very condensed, saying it like a little tiny dinosaur. So we have our vocal tract, and that is our resonator. We have different resonant spaces. This is how our vocal instrument works. But let's compare now to when we're talking about resonance in terms of shapes. Think about how when you're singing in your bathroom and you get all of that reflection coming back at you. And that's what resonance is, isn't it? It's sound waves reflecting off of shapes and spaces. And that creates such a different vibe. So, imagine singing in an auditorium, big cavernous auditorium that's completely empty, how your voice would need to carry across to the other side. And now imagine a recording studio where all the reflective spaces have been purposely taken away because so that your sound will go directly down into that microphone and nowhere else, and you don't get any other noise reflecting back. So the vocal instrument is exactly the same. We've got so many nooks and crannies, so many soft tissues, and really we can think of it as one tube, but it's extremely variable, and that's the beauty of our paint set. So you are the only person who sounds like you, and that takes a little while to accept. And I would love for you to reflect now on this question: do I accept my voice? And I want you to think about that through this session. And the answer might not be exactly clear, but it's sort of like that straight hair versus curly hair thing. I think it takes quite a while for you to accept your voice. And one of the greatest things about getting older is that you start to really just sit into yourself and your body and your sound. And because okay, I'm not trying to be anyone else. This is me. And that's the experience that I've had recently. And I just feel like I'm getting more and more confident as I get older. It's a wonderful feeling. So let's think about those sounds bouncing off our resonant spaces. So let's do a okay? And we want to make it, even though we're saying we still want that directed and buzzy. Let's go a little higher in your own range. Now, can you bring your teeth close together? Pick one long note, and I want you to get that place where you feel your teeth rattling. Take your hand to the back of your neck. Now, I would say close your eyes, but remember that focus today is externally. So even though we're getting those sympathetic vibrations around our body, I want you to get that focus out. Now, does that change the resonance? In fact, we can go internal for one moment. Now focus it out, as in really like you're kind of throwing your voice like a ball across the room. Does that change the way you project it out? Does that change the way you feel the vibrations in your body? Now let's go. We're gonna go. I want you to follow that lovely buzz. If this is too much, too strong for your voice, then just back off some of the pressure, but aim for the buzz. Look out. Have to remember, look out. Okay, what do you need to do to keep that buzziness the same as we're entering into different areas of your voice? Follow the line. Might need to back away. I feel that gentle letting go. Now, this is a big part of resonance, is moving, adjusting, depending on our resonators. So you hear me refer to that a lot, the lower resonator and the upper resonator. And so these are our two resonant spaces that we can make changes with. And it really comes into play when we're moving from the lower register to the upper register. And so it's that gentle handover. Now, up until pretty recently, when we're studying voice, it's notoriously been very focused on the source. And it's actually, like I say, it's kind of hard not to go there, to go, okay, this is happening this way. But what we're trying to do here, resonance, is more of a harmonics thing. Now, that involves giving over a lot of the control, because what you have experienced, likely, what you need to know is that as we go higher in our voice, we actually feel less. And as singers, of course, we want that feeling of doing something. And this is why the lower resonator handing over to the upper resonator is the biggest problem that tends to come up, because we want to grab, that lower resonator wants to grab on. So that's where we spend a lot of our work, just getting that beautiful, subtle handover. So let's take that again as we're going higher. And let's take it on something else. Let's go back to this one. Remember to focus that out. Same, you're still following that line. So because we've got that back pressure coming back to help us, really, it's kind of like what that is doing is, it's like that weighted blanket effect, right? It's sort of saying, okay, lower resonator, it's okay. I'm gonna soothe you down. It really drops your larynx, doesn't it? So that your voice can place nicely over to the top. So if you're like me on the, it can get a bit pinchy. But now can we go back to that one? After the lip trill, I'm getting more release. Now let's have a look at looking at holding back versus pressing, the different types of resonance that we can bring to a sound. So, and again, this is the beauty of our paint set, and there's so many variables, and maybe that's why it's a bit complicated to explain resonance, because we have so many choices, both artistically and technically. And yeah, that's our art. That is our craft. It's amazing how we can use our instrument. So let's have a look at just like as if we were shushing a baby. Okay, so we're going to do nice and subtle, soft and subdued. So let's go start about here. So what is the resonance here? How would you describe it? Is it warm? That's my experience, but you may have something different. Rounded, fuzzy round the edges. What do you have to do as you go higher to keep that line? Oh, but can you do that? Can you keep that line, but still maintaining the shushing a baby, the warm, the soft resonance? Yes, lovely. That reminds me of some lovely dynamics that you can hear in classical music. So it's amazing we make that sound, and it's got that lovely rounded tone. But it's a bit dampened, isn't it? Because if you think about, resonance can also be described as ringing. But the one we were just doing there, I suppose it did have a ring, but it's also got a sort of softness and a dampening around it. So let's see what we would need to do if we want more of a ringing resonance. Now, just a little note on ringing. This is when you line up the harmonics. So for example, if I'm playing a note, we hear that's called the fundamental. That's the bass note that we hear. However, there are many, many notes on top of that. That's like you imagine like clinging a wine glass, and you hear, that's the harmonics. So when our voice can become lined up, it gets that ringing. So not only does it have that sound clear, like you say, clear as a bell, but it also becomes more efficient. So this is the beauty of looking at the voice in this way. So when you get the harmonic lined up right, then it feels so easy as well. So let's do now, now we're going to use that same sound, ooh, but we're getting a clearer, more pointed, and perhaps it will become more ringing. Let's try it. So we'll go, ooh. Now, it made me tempted to bring my vibrato. Let's do it clean. Now we're focusing externally, right? So what do you need to do as it goes higher? You might be picking up on some sympathetic resonance. Making you feel the sound is actually coming out of your head. But that is just the ringing sound waves bouncing off your amazing surfaces. Now let's drop the jaw a little. Now what did that do? Amazing. Good. Now we're still aiming for that pinpointed sound. Clean line. just for a little practice of looking at how we can change the resonance depending on our resonating spaces and boosting certain harmonics. So already we've got our lowest vowel there. So ooh, ooh. See how that vowel has a deep tone. That's the sort of lowest, that boosts the lowest frequency the most, but in that sort of classical way that it's also very narrow, so it will drive your voice straight to head voice. So what that means is when we boost that lower harmonic, you get that, imagine like, like the Julie Andrews sound versus the Disney sort of sound. You get that sort of matronly, so the sound waves are ringing, they're bigger, they're further apart. Ooh. Again, I take vibrato off. That's an extra effect. It's sort of like, we make these connections. So try and do it clean. Ooh. It has a deepness to the tone. Now let's think of the sort of the Disney princess. When you hear that, it's very, very clear. It's more of that straight line that we were just practicing. So it's like, ooh. It's similar, isn't it? But it's brighter. If you think of that sound, trying to think of like a song, one day my prince will come, na na. It's very masky, but it's got that more brightness, and that's how it's a similar sound, similar kind of classical resonance. Now let's look at the difference between that and more bright. We add more and more brightness, we start to get more contemporary. So remember, we're doing these exercises before. That's like nay, 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 na, 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 ah, 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 ah. It becomes more mouthy. Let's do on the sound of E. So a similar kind of exercise. We'll go E. So what we're feeling here, we're feeling the vertical nature of resonance. So when I keep saying, keep it on that straight line, you will respond to that. What does your body need to do to keep that sound in the same placement? And just keep that intention, as opposed to thinking internally like, okay, I will do this, I will do this. So let's keep that feeling. Just feel it on the straight line, focusing externally. Where were we? Right, so E is sort of the brightest vowel. So, you can play around with these vowels and placements, and for whatever you want. Like, you are totally the artist. You have the paintbrush, and you can bring your listeners the most beautiful colors, by tapping into all of this. And I love combining this with like the sort of external focus. Okay, so let's have a look at, again, let's going back, sort of soft dynamics in terms of, or brighter, more forced, or more strong. So let's go, we're gonna go on the sound of yum. Now imagine this, like the current pop style, like sort of Billie Eilish, Olivia Rodrigo, they're all singing so softly. That's a kind of new wave in pop music, and I absolutely love it. We're gonna go yum, 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 yum. Now, it's actually quite hard to sing softly, but going up high. So I want you to stay with it. just think intuitively what you need to do. Yum, 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 yum. Now let's come down. Yum, 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 yum. Good. Let's bring in a little bit of audiation here. So imagine a violin. So we're holding back, but we still want our voices to be supported. So we've got that sound. So unlike a cello, which has that ooh, big, big resonance, that's maybe more like the kind of the lower resonant wave that we were singing with. This time we want a more condensed. We're holding back. We're not pushing the voice. We're not being too forceful. We're holding back, but we want that very clear, dialed in. So I want you to imagine a violin. Let's go up one. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Wow, I find that way of singing takes actually a lot of concentration, and that's why I love that new pop wave. I think it's actually shows a lot of maturity also to move away from that big, like very big sound, to dial it in into something so subtle and soft. I'm a big fan of that. So now let's say we want a bigger resonance on it. So let's look at the shape of the vowel, our resonating spaces, and lengthening that out. So where we were going with that smaller, more dialed in, yum, 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 yum. We're kind of putting it right there. Now let's lengthen it. So we're going to say yum, like the slowed down recording. It's already got that lovely shape of in there. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. And notice just naturally that became more externally focused. And that can feel so good when you're really singing strong. That feeling of letting your voice out, it almost feels like, it reminds me, this is why I sing in the first place. You feel like you're singing from your soul, which I really, really love. So that idea of the slowed down recording, I love that. And I have my students sing like that all the time. It's a really good way of drawing out the vowels, and it puts your voice in a nice, rich and full resonant spot. So let's take the line of this song. Now imagine I'm a better piano player, and imagine we've got a beat. Dun, 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 ding, 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 ding. Dun, 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 ding, 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 ding. Who can name that tune? Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Okay, slow down recording. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. 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 Really draw it out now. Oh, I wanna dance with somebody. Now, I'm feeling actually, the way I'm doing my vowel. Oh, that is too dark. I just realized, and this is where we need to stop and reflect and go, if you're having that too. Now that's because I've been trained to use a lot of that to shape my voice. And every now and then I have to go, you know what? Remember what style you're singing. Shake it up. There's no rules. It's what's in that moment, what you need to look at. Okay, readjust yourself. So I realize that, oh, that is too dark, isn't it? Whitney Houston wouldn't do that. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. It would be brighter, wouldn't it? Oh, but we still want to lengthen it. Okay, we can lengthen that shape without going dark. Ooh, like that. Think now. Oh, oh. So you got oh, like UH with a tiny little ooh to close off the vowel at the very end. This is a diphthong, but we don't want to close that vowel until the last split second. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. Now, as we're getting higher, we need to focus even more out. This is that external focus. If you like, you've heard me talk about Pavarotti's figure of 8. As we get up into a certain part of our range, we need to go out. Oh, I want to dance with somebody. Now, that D is my nemesis. My voice is really just finds that a really difficult place until I started going out. I needed to get it out. Now, I want you to remember that if, I'm talking about my voice here, and you will hear these frequencies in my voice. But for your voice, it is different. Now, especially if you're a guy watching this, and by when I say a male voice or a guy, what I'm referring to is a testosterone influenced voice. So I want to be PC here. That doesn't have quite a nice ring to it though in the moment. So I just say, girls and guys, just know that that's what I mean. So when we're going to be in a different spot. So know the places in your own voice that lift out. So in a girl, like where we just got to, you can feel that placement as you're going out. And if you have any questions, drop me a little note sometime. Now, I want to give you this changing vowels exercise. This is actually really difficult and really advanced. So we're going to go like this. We're going to change the vowels and we're going to go up chromatically. So it's going to be like ah. Those are the 3 vowels we're starting with. Doesn't like too many changes, so you're trying to bring all these sounds, bring them together. So as we're getting up here, we're going to go more towards that middle vowel, the first one that we start with. So you're in those later ones towards the first one. shaping that in. At the start, we were having to do just the opposite. You felt the widest one was the easiest one, right? Now we're cycling back again. Then the widest one becomes easiest again. So this is what I'm talking about. Pavarotti's figure of 8. We use our voices nice and expanded in the bottom. We come in through that tricky middle area that gives everyone grief. And then we have to expand again in the upper part of my range. Now, let's do that exercise again. But this time we're going to use the bright set of vowels. So we're going to say I, e, ah, like that. So it's quite bright. So they're going to feel different. Starting in the same place, down low. So some of you will find that really hard to get that closure on the I. Notice this one, ah, is that one easier? Follow that line. We're getting in the middle now. Notice the difference in tone of this set of vowels. It's brighter, it's got more chord closure on it. Focus out. Okay, I really felt then as again that ah, my voice just shifted into place because I brightened, I widened as I went up higher. That's past C sharp in the female voice, and for men that will be F sharp for you. So our voices are like about a fourth or fifth apart. Okay, thank you so much for joining me for this session. I hope you found that useful. Again, like any questions or comments, please let me know. I'm always here I will always respond, and I want to help you out. Okay, have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.